This podcast shines light on strong and talented women who excel and persevere in life while bathing in abundant self love. So, if you're ready to keep it real, level up in all your inner work, creative business, and community impact, then you've come to the right place because we provide you with content that helps your soul glow and your mind grow. Thank you for pressing play. Let's dive in.
Hey, STUK community. It is Brette here with another solo episode. And it's been a minute since I have been on with another solo episode, so I am happy to be here. I'm happy to chill with you all to dive into a deep combo of self-love. And yeah, let's get into it. So get cozy, grab a glass of water, glass of wine, some tea, whatever you need, a blanket. I am sitting outside with a blanket, and it's such beautiful, beautiful weather. Like the sun is in my eyes a little bit, and it's like warming me from the inside, but it's cool enough that it just feels good. It feels great. And so do I. So I'm ready for this combo. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about the art of gratitude. And I definitely think that there is indeed an art to it. And I think that it is a very valid and very vital art to practice right now during these times, during times of war and conflict and recession or depression or whatever it is. Um, so, gratitude's been something that I've practiced for quite a while in my own life. Within the STUK manifestation journal that we've created, there is a portion that's like write down 5 things that you're grateful for every day. But even before I created that journal, which I love, I would try to, like, the first thing that I wake up, like, list about 3 to 5 things that I'm just really grateful for, before diving into, the rest of my day, even before diving into like meditation and yoga, which are ways in which I start my morning, and which are ways in which I also think activate gratitude, because they activate your consciousness. They bring you to the here and now, to the present moment. And when you're still enough to be in the silence, of your own inner being, you can be really like, you can really just tap into that which you are grateful for, mainly breath, like, because that in and of itself is pretty freaking miraculous if you think about it. So, gratitude, it really wipes resistance clean. It wipes away, like, I think mental blocks. I think any way that we have like brain fog or just general lack of clarity. And I think that it is a creative reset. I think that, like, if you're unable to like get away or travel. I recently came back from the sea, and it was beautiful to be by the ocean, and that in and of itself is a great, creative reset to be grateful for. But if, like, you can't get away and go on vacation, or do a solo trip or something like that, or whatever it is, then I think that just gratitude is such a quick little trick and a quick way to reset your system, and just to be like, hey, you know what, I'm grateful for these things, these small things in my life, like, no matter what. Like, I'm grateful for my dog, I'm grateful for this computer right now that I'm able to record this podcast on, and my microphone, so you guys can hear me in more crisp sound quality. And I'm grateful for this delicious cider that I have, reminding me how much I love fall. And I'm grateful for like all of these beautiful golden and like orangey red leaves surrounding me, just like, yeah, in all reminding me of the beauty of the changing of seasons and how grateful I am to be able to be alive to experience another changing of seasons and changing of weather. And, the list really can go on, but it's just like, I think that when we can be more attuned to be grateful for the small things, then we can create more more abundance in our lives, more things to be grateful for. Um, so, right now, I believe in the last episode, I spoke about the artist who had passed named Mobad, one of my favorite Afrobeats artists. And it's so interesting because he passed, like a month before the war on Gaza, quote unquote war, because it's genocide, not war, but that's what they're calling it. And so I, delved into that conversation a lot. I think it's a great listen if you haven't listened to it already. But it was so interesting how, he was murdered a um month before this like war started, and a month, you know into it, or before it. And it's just crazy because like his number one single was Peace. He believed in profound gratitude and in being deeply grateful. And and he was such a pure artist. And his music, I still, I play so much during this time because I think that it is freedom music, and it helps me to tap into gratitude in a profound way. But yeah, so since the last episode, this war, or what, let's call it genocide, has gotten, more and more intense. And it's so interesting to me. And it's been such like a full body shock to me to see that, like, I don't know, like when it first started occurring, like when the initial attack happened on October 7th, in Gaza, and it's just like full out genocide happening. It's just like I had such a weird, chilling, like cold feeling because so many people were just like not tapped in, or just didn't care, or were like, still kind of, I don't know, just posting about celebrity news and talking about just things that didn't matter, material possessions and this and that. And while I think it is vital to remain in self-love and do all things self-care related, and to focus on your craft and to focus on that which you're doing, I think there is still a way to like give respect to humanity, and to give respect to that which is happening, and to the numerous thousands and thousands of lives that have now been lost there. Um, and right now, as of today, the ceasefire that was a capitalistic ceasefire for Cyber Monday, Black Friday, just ended, and they're back like, they never left, bombing and flattening the city. They told people that the north of Gaza was going to be where they were bombing, and the south of Gaza would be where people can evacuate and would be quote unquote safe. But as of today, they've bombed the south of Gaza, killing about 200 people, I think, more or less. Um, and so it just continues. And it was so bizarre to have this like reprieve from all of the chaos and all of the killing and all of the slaughter, like for about a week, when there was Thanksgiving and the ceasefire, and like a day of gratitude. And then it's just like everything's back to how it was. And it's just like, it was just like a crazy psyop. And now we're back in just this horrendous nightmare of humanity. And I think the only way I've really been able to find peace in it is through love, through my art, through those who love me, um, and just through exhibiting every morning that I wake up pure gratitude for having my life, for being able to have opportunities. And it just was like, it just shakes me, and it confuses me. I mean, I guess because I just have a very deep like humanitarian heart, and I understand that most people don't think that way, or view things that way, or choose to perceive things that way. But I don't understand the need for, like, during this time, gossip, slander, you know, attacking, social media stalking, all things that, you know, I encounter regularly still to this day. And it's just like, how are we as humanity ever going to do better, to get better, to elevate, to rise above, you know, if these things are still happening? Um, and and I think that it's just really because people are afraid to tap into themselves. And I think that gratitude is an aspect um of self-love. I think it is a part of it, and I think that it requires you to um tap more deeply into the soul, into who and what you are. And a lot of people are afraid of tapping into self, because it requires solitude. It requires you to be alone. And a lot of people are terrified to be alone, which is ultimately an illusion, you know, because really we're never actually alone. But, you know, it's an illusion that a lot of people cling to and thus have fear over. Um, and I think that I don't think anyone can really overcome the fear of tapping into self without gratitude, without being grateful for the self, without being grateful for each aspect of who and what you are. Because, you know, that was always a goal of mine in my journey of self-love. It was to love fully and completely every small, minute little aspect of myself. And I very much do. But, you know, it's taken years for me to get to this point that I'm at now. And it's taken loads of gratitude practice, you know, for me to be able to like ground into that stably. But I am so thankful to be here. I'm happy to be here. And I'm happy that I have that, because it is gratitude is also a form of grounding. And I think that, you know, it is so very, very important to ground right now, you know, with everything that's going on, because, you know, not only is genocide happening in Palestine, but it's also happening in the Congo. It's happening in Sudan. And, you know, it's actually happening Sudan. This is like another wave of genocide that's more recently happened. It started again in April. We have advocated and have illustrations about the Sudanese genocide, you know, within our art pieces, our NFT pieces. But I guess, you know, that was around 2019 when there was like, kind of like this last wave of genocide that occurred there. But yeah, it's happening again. And you know, things are going to continue to happen. And even, you know, in the States, and chaos is all around. But it's like when you have yourself as your own center and your own, you know, contact point and own point of love and adoration, and you can really like depend on, rely on yourself, then like everything else moving around wildly or chaotically doesn't really phase you. um and I think that's also like, in the context of art, I think it's hard to commit to your talents or what you're passionate about, or to really be consistent with each aspect of what you're doing when you've never committed fully to yourself before. And I think that when, you know, we can commit to ourselves, it becomes so much easier to commit to our gifts, to commit to our talent, and thus, you know, to commit to others. But, you know, I think that the first relationship we have to be constantly committed to is the one we have with ourselves. And we have to give thanks for the relationship we have with ourselves every single day, because, you know, like there are so many people who do not get the opportunity to wake up every day, especially now that we're in the midst of genocidal war. And it's very, you know, it's hard to find grounding without gratitude. I don't think you'll ever have like a stable foundation without it. And that's why it's an art. And with art requires practice. Art requires many hours of practice and trying things over and over again until you get it right. And it requires an ability to be okay with like a beginner's mind and like, oh, I messed up, let me try again, let me get up and try this again. And that's the kind of same attitude one has to have when really mastering and honing into the art of gratitude. So I think that practicing gratitude as an art has like changed my life in so many ways, ways that I am only beginning to fully see manifest now, and ways that I can't really, in every way describe or maybe explain, because I think gratitude is more than just, it's more than, so much more than just a word, or it's so much more than like the words that you release from your lips that you are saying that you're grateful for. It's really like a feeling, and it's really like a frequency. And I say often that frequency is a feeling, energy is a feeling. Like you can feel into energy and vibration regardless of the words that people are emitting, regardless of like, you know, just what anyone is talking or saying, or even sometimes doing. It's just like you can feel a vibration, and you can always feel the vibration of gratitude. You can feel when you emit it around yourself, and you can feel the vibration of when other people are grateful around you, grateful for your presence, grateful for who you are. And I think it's such a gift to have people in your life who are just grateful that you simply exist, because that is such a powerful affirmation, I think. And it's just such a like a powerful blessing. And I think that I don't think yeah, there's no way I would have survived like all of the weird attacks that I've had this year from families, friends, stalkers, stalkers who are family, stalkers who are friends, um, just, putting their business where they don't belong in my career, trying to, topple everything that I've worked for, everything that I've worked on. Like, there's no way that I would have been able to move through it if it were not for, just like the just beautiful connections that I have in my life that are like that, and that I don't have to doubt or overthink, because I just know that there's a beautiful aura and emission of like gratitude coming from that way. And it helps me to be able to like pour into people who, you know, um, exhibit gratitude for that. And because it's not easy out here, and it's especially not easy as artists, like, continuing to create while the world is burning, basically. And while Gaza is literally burning, and being bombed every day. Um, and so I think that also gratitude is another word for love. And yeah, it's just simply another word that can be used for love. And that's why it's such a heavy facet of self-love, because it's like, how can you really have love if you don't have gratitude, because it's like if you have love, and if you have that real and genuine love, and you're sure of it, then you're grateful for it, and I think that when we can hone into how grateful we are for, you know being able to love ourselves and tap into the inner love flow of our own hearts, man, just like so much space opens up, and so much more ability to create and be creative and go down new creative avenues open up. Because when you're not in that flow, then blocks and hindrances and just weird things can arise and show up. Because I think that gratitude is also a heavy aspect of flow state. And I think you could also say that flow state is a love flow, like creative flow is, it's like the creative flow of love. It's like the creative flow of gratitude when you're in that art state of, when you're just painting, when you're just drawing, when you're just sculpting, when you're just dancing and not thinking about it, when you're, you know, doing whatever you do creatively, when you're just writing and it's just like flowing and pouring out of you, you're in another state. You're firstly in the here and now present moment, and you know, you're breathing. Let's breathe now because breathing is so important during these times. Don't forget to breathe, everybody. Um but yeah, like you're breathing into this like here and now conscious awareness. And then you're also just like, when you're in that state, that's where love can flow freely. That's where gratitude can flow freely. And there is no need to worry. There is no need to like overthink. There is no need to over stress. There is really no need for thought because, you know, the clearest space and place to create from is that of no mind. Um, so I also think that it's so vital, like, and a part of the art of gratitude to be able to shift things and change the script and change the narrative in your own mind, because you know a huge aspect of like self-love and getting to know yourself is getting to know your own mind and becoming the watcher and the witness of your own thoughts, rather than thinking that your thoughts are always you and allowing your thoughts to consume you. And I think that a great way in shifting the narrative when it comes to gratitude is like, you know, instead of like waking up and every day being like, oh my God, I have to do all this and I have to do this and I have to get this done before I can go here. And I need to get task A, B, and C done. And I have to. Oh my goodness. Like, especially when the weight of the world is already coming down on so many people right now. So instead of like using I have to do this, I think a great reversal is I get to do this. Like, I am so blessed that I get to do this, that I get to have this opportunity, that I get to be an artist, that I get to even be a human being today, because many people didn't get that, you know, opportunity, that I get to be active, that I get to breathe in this new fresh air of the day. Like, I think just by doing little shifts like that, it can really open up the minds and open up the blinds, you know, in your own soul. And I think that that's like a huge part of what falling in love with yourself is all about. It's just like, it's literally like opening the blinds of your own soul. Because you know, when we're closed off to our own hearts and our own souls and our own inner love flow, we're also closed off to the beauty of all and everything that we can create. So I think, you know, it's just being able to see and apply and trust and know contrast is really important too. I think, you know, I've been talking this whole podcast about the contrast between like what is happening in Gaza and what is happening, you know, within our American experiences. But like there are so many like humanitarian thoughts that one can like apply right now when it comes to the state of the world. Like whether it's thinking about like the girls that we serve in Ghana, whether it's thinking about what the girls are probably just like going through in Gaza, and like how art during this time just has the ability to really transmute fear and trauma, and to provide a safe space and an emotional outlet when literally like bombing is all around, or like in Ghana where poverty is all around and you might not know when your next meal is coming from, or you might not know, you know, how you're going to get any resources the next day. Like, you know, being able to like just create something, just be creative in some kind of way, just dance, just sing, just do something, like is a release. And I think you just contrast, having the ability for the mind to create contrast is part of the self-love process also. And it's yeah, it's one that like Esther and Jerry Hicks talk about a lot if you've ever read any of the Abraham books. But I think those are great books to read if interested. I think they're great for the self-love process and journey. But yeah, I've just been thinking of so much about like, I mean, I've seen videos of kids in Gaza and just creating art, and we've put some on the podcast Instagram. I think our little hardest, page 2 of kids literally just in pure joy and in pure delight, creating as bombs are literally flying over their heads and warplanes and all this like noise. And they're just laughing and smiling and in flow state, creating in joy. And, I find that when the kids are creating in Ghana as well, and it just has the ability to take kids and just to take all people to another space and place. And I've been tapping into a lot of journalists as of late too, because the journalists in Gaza, I think journalists are, I mean, I believe, yeah, that journalism is an art, and they have such a creative way of narrating and telling their story, and a story that many people didn't fully understand until now. Um, just them really clarifying that it is not a conflict that's going on. Like, this has been 75 years of oppression, and now this is like the second Nekba, which is Arabic for catastrophe. And the first one happened in 1948. And that's when, so much of Palestine was bombed and raided, and people were killed, and that's what caused so many Palestinian refugees of today. But now the same thing is literally happening again in 2023, and so it's extremely jarring for them, and it's extremely painful for them, it's extremely triggering for them, yet and still they get up and they create video content and social media content, better content than I've seen people create not in a war zone, better content than I've seen people create, like, with all the technology and the gadgets and everything that they need, and still they're out here doing the damn thing, like, every single day to, like, tell the world their story, and so that their history and their people don't just completely vanish off the face of the earth. um so the two journalists that I've been following are Bisan, and Palestia. And Bisan, her story is so beautiful because she had her own studio space in Gaza, and she um would record her series, her videos. She was a documentarian. She recorded all her content out of that studio, had all of her tech in there, her cameras, her computers, drones, whatever, mics, all of that. And, also, like, she had her place, and her home as well as her studio got bombed. Her cat was in the building when it got bombed. She had no idea where her cat is. She's now, like, living in a tent on the streets, has no car, doesn't know where her next meal is ever coming from. It's, starting to be winter in Gaza right now. And it's just like, it's so harsh, but it's the reality of what's happening. And just, like, to put your own story in contrast with that, I think creates so much clarity and so much more perspective. And Plessy is like, she's a similar journalist, but she was able to get out, and family that she has lives in Australia. So she recently got out there because, I mean, at this point, it just looks like there's no real place for these people to go. Like, they're just kind of refugees in a war zone at this point, and you know th- there's no solution like that is being offered to them, which is so tragic and so terrifying at the same time. But just the resilience and their level of fearlessness in, like, literally the eyes of death. Like, Bisan was like, I don't really fear death, I just fear, like, what will happen if people don't know our story and our legacy, and I fear for, like, the people around me, but, like, I myself, I don't fear death. um and so I think just seeing the stories of martyr after martyr, people in Palestine who are still alive, just walking in the literal face of death, like, fearlessly, gives incentive to just be grateful for anything right now, for everything right now. And it blows my mind that some people are just still so close-minded to even be able to see that. But, for me, that's true. Um, And I think, like, and because of that, like, because I'm just seeing, like, it's I think just people's just reactions and, either sensitivity or lack thereof of what is happening in the world at this time, it just really shows me that, like, yeah, it's just, like, it's not a time for small thinkers, it's not a time to be surrounded by people who are liabilities in any way. It's a time for to be surrounded by people who understand and have a knowing of free thought, of free thinking, of being able to think for yourself, grow for yourself, build for yourself, and to be able to build community and to gather community together without being jealous or envious or in a comparison war against anyone, because that's the opposite of what building community is. And, I think gratitude for community during this time is a supreme and profound level of protection, because I think it's really the people versus establishment right now. And it's like community is the safe haven that we all are going to have when, this war, whenever it does end, inevitably ends. And because, the scariest part is maybe, I mean, I think it's pretty scary now, but it's also like what happens when it's over, like the plan for moving forward when it's over is, it's more daunting almost. It's just like, because there is not really a plan for people of color for what is going to happen to them. And since this is an American funded war and, American military are actually performing in this genocide, on the ground, like as we've seen, it's just like I think as Americans, but just as people in general, we have to think about like what is coming next and what steps we need to take as communities to really pull together and protect ourselves during this time. And especially as creatives to protect ourselves during this time, because in any like fascist regime and any time of war, it's just like artists are initially the first people to get attacked. In Palestine, so many artists have been attacked. Journalists are being killed by the day. Two were killed today, may they rest in peace. Like it just keeps happening and keeps happening. And the only protection, the only, and it's not even the strongest protection, is community. And obviously faith, because I think that that is a hugely profound thing, that faith is really the only thing that the people in Gaza have right now. It's like nobody is standing up for them, like in a battle sense or whatever, but like they have this just indescribable faith. And it's beautiful to see, like regardless of how, like sometimes some days it's so horribly heartbreaking to watch, the death and the murder and everything that is happening, but it's also almost as profoundly moving to see how their spirituality moves and to see how their faith moves through things. And I recently watched the documentary Born in Gaza, and it's about Gaza from I think in the 2014 war that was there. And it's from the perspective of children, through the eyes of children. And so it's a bunch of different stories, and it's like they tell about what it's like to be born in Gaza and like what it's like to live there, and to experience all of that they've been experiencing. And I mean, it's shocking. So they've experienced so much death. And my real takeaway is just like that, how profoundly spiritual these children are. And like, and I mean, I can't even imagine how they move through what they've moved through, but it's just like faith really propels who they are and what they do. And gratitude is such a huge part of faith, because like even through though they've been through like all of these nightmarish things happening, like at age 6 and 7 being bombed and having all of these, injuries, or having their childhood friends and at age 7 and 8 and just like gone, or their families gone, they still have some space to be grateful. And if they have space to be grateful, if they have space to be grateful for, even the smallest aspects of their lives, then so do we. Absolutely. So do we every single day. Um, and so I think that coming together in gratitude is really the only solution during these times. I think that gratitude opens the doors and the gateways for peace and for understanding and for resolution and for solution for those who seek it and for those who are actually interested in it and actually interested in building the new. Um, and I think that because just like, oh yeah, when we can tap into the frequency of gratitude, it's just like everything, the mind begins to rest, the heart begins to rest, the soul feels at ease and joy. And it just like, and that changes everything, especially when it comes to artists being able to create. And it removes all those blockages, because blockages are really caused by resistance, and resistance is really just the mind in the mud. And gratitude digs the mind out of that muck and out of that mud. Um and it's a releasing point. It gives us a clear and clean perspective to begin anew and to see things from a fresh new light. Um, and yeah, I think like what is clear and true perspective is simply that it's like a miracle to even wake up and to be breathing every single day, and to wake up with any resources at all, because the people in Gaza right now have none. Many people in Ghana have none. And I think that to wake up with like any options, to wake up with even the ability or the tools to create, is a massively powerful blessing at this point in time in history, especially for us people of color, especially for Black people. Um, because the genocides that are happening in to Black people right now in Sudan and Congo, they aren't even being covered at all by the media. Granted, the one that is being covered, in Palestine is it's skewed, it's very selective. I don't think that anybody should really trust the news. I think you should tap into Twitter. We're covering certain things on our Twitter about it, but yeah, it's not it's inaccurate news, but it's like at least there's some images of it. But in Congo and Sudan, there's not really any. In Sudan, if you even pull out your phone, you can get shot for that. And I think in Congo, it's basically like the people there are mining for cobalt, which is what we have in our cell phones, which is why we should be grateful for every cell phone that we have and not keep buying them, because that creates more genocide and ultimately slavery for them to keep mining the cobalt that goes in them. But it's just like they don't even have like the funds, or they don't have phones, they don't have any ability to record or document what they're going through. So to be able to share our stories is a profound blessing to be grateful for as well. Um, and when I'm, feeling like, man, it's been a bit since I've like, put out content or this or that, it's like I remind myself that it is important to share our stories, and it is important to speak and share what is going on, because a lot of people can't do that right now. And our voices shared, it's like it's important. It's an important part of humanity. So I give thanks daily to be able to wake up and do what I love, to right here and right now be able to record this podcast and be able to share these words and this free thought with all of you. And I hope that you resonate with it on some level. And I hope that it, can touch you and change you and shift you and shake you in some ways. And, and I hope more importantly, it'll just help you to create more free space in your mind to put out more beauty today in the world, and to share joy, and to maybe wake up and remember to list those 3 or 5 things to be grateful for. So I hope surround yourself with people who practice gratitude during this time, maybe people who gossip less, people who aren't in a loop of envy or in a loop of comparison or in just a loop of mental chatter, and have enough spaciousness in mind to be thankful for the beautiful life that is all around us in the here and now present moment. So I'm wishing you so much love. I hope that love fills your heart so deeply that it moves you and shakes you to create something new. I hope that you can feel thanks and gratitude to the depths of your very veins, and that it sparkles through you like magic. And I hope that look up today and look at the sky and look at the clouds and look at the sun and breathe in the fresh air and take in the beauty of the sun and let it fill you up to your soul, because you're here now and breathing, and that is a blessing in and of itself. So do good, be good, be the change that you want to create in the world, because it starts with us. It starts with how we choose to change and shift ourselves every day. So I love you all, and I hope you have a great day or evening or night or whenever you're listening to this. And until next time, bye.
Hi everyone, hope you liked that episode. We are all about preaching self-love and empowering women and girls around the world. Support us in our journey as we provide art supplies and many more resources to girls in Ghana through our two programs, the Fly Girl Initiative and Little Heartists. We are also working on hosting more Color for a Cause events, as well as our No Filter school tours. Your help will enable this organization to work on bettering the lives of people around the world. For more information, visit our website www.stukdesigns.org.